Did you know that anxiety is costing you far more than you think? Not just sleepless nights or that gnawing feeling in your stomach, but moments you'll never get back. The quiet times with family when your mind was somewhere else. The joy of a conversation you didn't fully hear because your thoughts were racing. The opportunities you hesitated to seize because of fear. What if I told you that the way we think about anxiety is all wrong, and that, for over 2,000 years, a handful of ancient philosophers have been quietly offering a way out? Today, we're diving into the wisdom of Stoicism, a philosophy that doesn't just acknowledge our fears, but teaches us how to face them, reframe them, and, ultimately, rise above them. The Stoics lived through plagues, wars, and political chaos. They were no strangers to anxiety. Yet they developed practical techniques to transform these fears into fuel for living a meaningful life. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by your worries, you're not alone. The Stoics were right there with you, and they found a way to turn anxiety from a thief into a teacher. Stay tuned, because what follows isn't your typical think positive or just relax advice. We're going to unpack some of the most powerful Stoic strategies for overcoming anxiety, techniques that have been tested across centuries. Whether you're a Stoicism skeptic or a lifelong philosophy fan, this video will challenge your thinking, push you out of your comfort zone, and offer practical steps for reclaiming the present moment. If you find value in what we're discussing today, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and share this video with others who are seeking personal growth and philosophical understanding. Your support helps us keep bringing these ideas to life and sharing them with a wider audience. Stick around until the end, especially if you're skeptical. Some of what we're going to cover might seem counterintuitive, but if you watch with an open mind, you'll walk away with a toolkit for managing anxiety that's grounded not in temporary fixes, but in timeless wisdom. Let's get into it. Understand timelessness of anxiety. Anxiety isn't a new player in the game of life. It's as old as humanity itself. Think about it. Our ancestors faced fears about survival, conflict, and uncertainty just like we do today. From the earliest communities huddled around fires to the bustling modern cities filled with technology, anxiety has always been there, a constant companion through the ages. Now let's bring in some Stoic wisdom. The Stoics, philosophers from ancient Greece and Rome, understood this timeless nature of human worries. They didn't have smartphones or social media, but they faced their own share of plagues, political turmoil, and personal hardships. For instance, Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic thinkers, ruled the Roman Empire during a devastating plague and wrote about his thoughts and struggles in what we now read as Meditations. His writings show us that the essence of anxiety hasn't changed. It's our reactions to our circumstances that can differ. By anchoring our understanding of anxiety in Stoicism, we see that these philosophers were onto something profound. They believed that by recognizing the permanence of certain human experiences, like anxiety, we could find a more detached and rational way to deal with them. They taught that while the specifics of what we worry about might change, the core feelings of fear, uncertainty, and worry remain constant. This perspective is incredibly liberating because it means that we can draw on centuries of wisdom to manage our anxieties today. We're not alone in this. We're just the latest in a long line of humans learning to cope with being human. What's powerful here is not just understanding anxiety through a historical or philosophical lens, but using that understanding to strengthen our own mental resilience. The Stoics offer us tools to do just that, reminding us that anxiety is not something uniquely modern or uniquely ours, but a shared human condition that we can approach with wisdom passed down through generations. So next time you feel that familiar flutter of anxiety, remember, People have been standing where you are for thousands of years, and many have found ways to ease that flutter. We can learn from them and maybe make our journey a little easier. Learn from historical figures. When we look back at history, it's like opening a treasure chest of wisdom, especially when it comes to understanding how to handle life's challenges. And when you're feeling anxious, who better to turn to than some of the greatest minds who have navigated through remarkably turbulent times? Let's consider some Stoic philosophers and how they managed their own struggles. Take Marcus Aurelius, for instance. Here was a Roman emperor, the most powerful man in the world at his time, yet he wasn't immune to the mental trials that come with responsibility and uncertainty. He faced military invasions, political conspiracies, and the Antonine Plague, which devastated his empire. Despite these challenges, he found solace and strength in Stoic philosophy, meticulously jotting down his thoughts, which later became his book, Meditations. In his writings, Marcus often discusses the concept of accepting what you can't control and focusing on your own actions, which is incredibly relevant advice for managing anxiety today. Then there's Seneca, another Stoic heavyweight, who faced immense political pressure and personal risk daily under the volatile leadership of Emperor Nero. Seneca's letters and essays are filled with practical advice on how to cope with fear and anxiety. He emphasized the importance of rational thought and often recommended preparing oneself mentally for the worst, not to dwell on it, but to diminish the shock if it should come. His thoughts encourage us not to be surprised by misfortune when it occurs, as foreseen trouble is less impactful. By learning about these historical figures, we connect with their experiences and see how Stoicism isn't just theoretical, it's a practical toolkit. These stories teach us that anxiety and adversity aren't modern phenomena, but human reactions to the conditions of life, which have been remarkably consistent over millennia. Understanding this can help us feel less isolated in our struggles. We are walking a well-trodden path and have much to learn from those who have walked it before. Incorporating Stoic principles, like focusing on what is within our control and accepting what isn't, can transform how we view and react to anxiety today. It teaches us resilience, showing us how to stand firm in the face of life's uncertainties, just as Marcus Aurelius and Seneca did. So, when you find yourself overwhelmed, remember these figures. They not only survived their times, but crafted a philosophy that helped them thrive mentally. Their lives assure us that we, too, can find stability amidst chaos, leaning on their wisdom to guide our modern minds. Personal reflection and admission. Opening up about our own experiences with anxiety isn't just about sharing. It's about showing that it's a normal, human reaction to the complexities of life. I'll be the first to admit that despite reading and talking about Stoicism, I still experience my fair share of anxious moments. It's one thing to discuss Stoic concepts like detachment and rationality, and entirely another to apply them in the heat of a stressful moment. This personal admission isn't a defeat, but a recognition of reality. Stoicism teaches us not to be devoid of emotions, but to understand and manage them effectively. In my journey, I've found it immensely helpful to see these principles as tools, not rules. For instance, the Stoic practice of examining our impressions, which involves pausing to consider whether our initial reactions to situations are accurate, has been a game changer for me. It doesn't remove the anxiety, but helps me navigate through it more rationally. Sharing these experiences is also about building a community where openness about struggles is normalized. It's easy to idolize figures like Seneca or Marcus Aurelius and forget that they too were people who struggled, questioned, and doubted. They weren't Stoic in the unfeeling sense. They were Stoics who used philosophy as a way to address their inner turmoil. They wrote about their fears, their hopes, and their strategies, not because they had conquered their emotions, but because they were actively engaging with them. When I speak about my anxiety, it's not just to share a personal story, but to illustrate how Stoic principles play out in real life. Whether it's about dealing with unexpected events, facing personal failures, or managing day-to-day stresses, these ancient tools have provided a framework for me to understand and manage my emotions more effectively. And by admitting this, I hope to encourage you to explore these tools and see if they can offer you the same support and clarity they have offered me. It's about progress, not perfection, as we apply these age-old strategies to our modern lives. Use Stoic tools and philosophy. When we talk about using Stoic tools and philosophy to manage anxiety, we're not just spouting off ancient texts for the sake of tradition. We're diving into a deep, rich toolbox that has been refined over centuries to help people handle the ups and downs of life more effectively. Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions, it's about understanding them, organizing them, and responding to them in a way that's beneficial to your mental well-being. One of my favorite tools from Stoicism is the practice of daily reflection, often done through journaling. This isn't about recording events as much as it is about reflecting on how we respond to those events. The simple act of writing down what happened during the day and how you reacted can provide incredible insights into your patterns of thought and emotion. It's a method Marcus Aurelius himself used, and his writings, filled with personal admissions and philosophical musings, are a testament to the power of this practice. These reflections help you identify triggers and overreactions, allowing you to recalibrate your responses to be more in line with Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Another powerful Stoic tool is the dichotomy of control, beautifully encapsulated by Epictetus, who said, "Some things are within our power, while others are not." By clearly defining what's within our control and surrendering what isn't, we can significantly reduce our anxiety. For instance, we can control our effort and attitudes, but not the outcomes of those efforts. When we focus on our input and accept whatever result comes our way, we're practicing Stoic acceptance, reducing the unnecessary anxiety about things outside our control. These Stoic practices are not just philosophical ideals, they are practical strategies that can be integrated into everyday life. They teach us resilience, help us manage our expectations, and foster a profound inner peace by aligning our actions with what we can control. By consistently applying these tools, we strengthen our ability to remain calm and collected in the face of life's inevitable storms, turning what might have been paralyzing anxiety into manageable challenges that we are equipped to face. Recognize the role of perception in anxiety. Imagine you're worried about an upcoming work presentation. The Stoic approach would be to examine why this event is causing anxiety. Is it the fear of public speaking, or perhaps a deeper worry about not being good enough? By dissecting these perceptions, you can start to challenge and change them. The presentation itself isn't inherently anxiety-inducing. It's your belief about your performance and its consequences that fuels the anxiety. This is where the Stoic practice of reframing comes into play. Reframing involves altering your perspective on a situation to see it in a more neutral or positive light. Instead of viewing the presentation as a potential disaster, reframe it as an opportunity to share your knowledge and improve your speaking skills. This shift in perception reduces anxiety by focusing on positive outcomes and growth rather than fear and failure. By consistently practicing this Stoic technique of examining and adjusting our perceptions, we gain a more rational and calm approach to situations that might otherwise seem overwhelming. It's not about denying or suppressing feelings, but understanding where they come from and deciding how to react to them. This Stoic wisdom doesn't just reduce anxiety, it empowers us to lead more composed and thoughtful lives, driven not by fear, but by clear, rational thinking. Practice premeditation of evils. Premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils, is a fascinating and profoundly useful Stoic exercise that helps us prepare for life's potential downturns. This might sound a bit grim at first. Why would we want to spend time thinking about negative outcomes? But it's not about pessimism, rather, it's about resilience and readiness. The idea here is simple but powerful. By contemplating the challenges and misfortunes we might face, we can diminish the shock and paralysis that might occur if they actually happen. Imagine you're worried about losing your job. By thinking through this possibility in advance, considering how you would respond, what steps you would take to find new employment, and how you could cut expenses in the interim, you're effectively reducing the anxiety that comes from uncertainty. This exercise doesn't just prepare you logistically, but also emotionally, as you realize that even the worst-case scenario is manageable. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, advised that we occasionally remind ourselves that life can change course unexpectedly. This isn't about expecting the worst, but about liberating ourselves from the fear of the unknown. When we practice premeditatio malorum, we turn potential anxieties into planned strategies, which shifts our focus from worrying about what might go wrong to preparing for how we'll handle it if it does. This Stoic practice teaches us not to be flustered by life's storms because we've already navigated them in our minds. It fosters a mindset where, instead of being overwhelmed by fear and anxiety, we're equipped with a proactive plan and a Stoic calmness. Focus on control. Think about it this way. How often do we find ourselves stressing over outcomes we have no power over? Whether it's worrying about the weather during a planned event, the outcome of a job application, or how others might react to something we say. Spending our mental energy on these uncontrollable aspects is not just futile, it's exhausting. The Stoics, like Epictetus, advised us to divide our concerns into two categories: things we can control and things we can't. Our efforts, our behaviors, our responses, these are within our control. The actions of others, the past, the future, these are beyond our direct control. By consciously shifting our focus to our own actions and attitudes, we can reduce the vast majority of our unnecessary anxieties. For instance, if you're anxious about an upcoming exam, instead of spiraling into worry about the difficulty of the test or the potential for failure, redirect your energy towards what you can do: your study habits, seeking help when needed, and preparing as best as you can. This focus not only mitigates anxiety, but also maximizes your efficiency and effectiveness. This Stoic lesson isn't about detachment or indifference. It's about proactive engagement with the parts of our lives we can influence. It's about cultivating an internal locus of control that enables us to remain calm and assertive amidst life's chaos. Focusing on control doesn't mean we ignore the factors outside our reach. Rather, we accept them and move forward with what we can impact, leading to a more rational and serene approach to life's challenges. Engage in constructive thinking. When faced with a situation that sparks anxiety, our instinct might be to worry passively or imagine the worst outcomes. However, Stoicism invites us to shift this pattern by asking ourselves practical questions like, "What can I learn from this?" or "How can I improve my response to this challenge?" This is what we call constructive thinking, taking a situation that could lead to negative spirals and instead using it to build resilience and find solutions. For example, if you're anxious about a major project at work, instead of getting caught up in fears of failure, redirect your thoughts towards identifying the steps you need to take to succeed. Break the project down into manageable tasks, set clear goals, and celebrate small victories along the way. This method not only alleviates anxiety, but also enhances your effectiveness by focusing on actionable steps rather than on the anxiety itself. Moreover, constructive thinking isn't just about dealing with immediate problems. It also involves long-term personal development. The Stoics were big on self-improvement, continually asking themselves how they could be better today than they were yesterday. By adopting this mindset, you encourage a lifestyle of continuous learning and adapting, which naturally diminishes anxiety because you're always preparing yourself to handle whatever comes next. Utilize physical reminders. This is a practical Stoic strategy that helps keep the philosophy's teachings at the forefront of our daily lives. In Stoicism, the goal is to live a thoughtful and intentional life, and sometimes amidst the hustle and bustle, we need tangible cues to keep us anchored to our philosophical principles. Imagine having a small object, like a ring or a bracelet, inscribed with a Stoic saying or symbol. This isn't just a piece of jewelry, it's a tool for mindfulness. Every time you notice it, it serves as a reminder to return to Stoic principles, perhaps to focus on what's within your control, or to remember that external events don't have to disturb your inner peace. These reminders can be incredibly effective during moments of stress or anxiety. For instance, if you're feeling overwhelmed, glancing at a Stoic inscription like "This too shall pass" on a wristband can be a calming influence, bringing you back to the Stoic practice of viewing life's challenges from a broader perspective. It's a simple cue to breathe, reflect, and respond with equanimity. You might also consider keeping a Stoic quote as a wallpaper on your phone or computer, or even a post-it note on your desk. These small reminders can serve as prompts to engage in a quick moment of reflection, helping you reset and realign with Stoic ideals throughout the day. The beauty of using physical reminders lies in their ability to bridge the gap between abstract philosophical concepts and everyday reality. They make Stoicism not just a topic of study, but a lived experience, constantly guiding us towards more deliberate and reflective living. This method reinforces the Stoic belief that wisdom isn't just about deep understanding, but about practical application, making it easier to weave philosophy into the fabric of daily life. Perform exposure therapy. The idea is simple. By gradually facing the things that make us anxious, we can reduce their power over us. It's about intentionally putting ourselves in uncomfortable situations to build resilience rather than avoiding them and letting fear grow unchecked. The Stoics were big believers in this kind of toughening up. Zeno, the founder of Stoicism, experienced something like exposure therapy when his teacher Crates made him walk through a busy marketplace with a pot of lentils. Crates then smashed the pot, causing the lentils to spill all over Zeno. The purpose? To help Zeno realize that the embarrassment he feared was not as bad as he imagined. It was a way of exposing him to discomfort and showing him that life goes on even when things don't go perfectly. The Stoics believed that by exposing ourselves to mild, controlled doses of discomfort, we can better handle the more severe challenges that life throws our way. Today you can apply this approach in practical ways. If social anxiety is a struggle, try gradually exposing yourself to more social situations, starting small, like making small talk with a barista or attending a small gathering. Over time, as you become more comfortable with these situations, the anxiety begins to diminish. It's not that the circumstances change, it's that you've trained yourself to handle them with more calm and less fear. The beauty of this approach is that it isn't about eliminating anxiety completely, but about learning to live with it and reduce its impact. Stoicism doesn't promise a life free of discomfort or fear. Instead, it offers us ways to meet these challenges head-on. By exposing ourselves to what makes us uncomfortable, we develop a kind of mental callus, strengthening our minds the same way physical exercise strengthens our bodies. So, when you feel anxiety creeping up, remember that avoidance often strengthens fear, but exposure weakens it. Think of each uncomfortable moment as an opportunity for growth, a step towards mastering your fears rather than being mastered by them. The Stoics would remind us that we grow stronger not by running away from what we dread, but by learning to face it little by little with courage and composure. Incorporate daily Stoic reminders. The Stoics believed in the power of repetition and constant reflection, not just as an intellectual exercise, but as a way to truly embody their teachings. By surrounding ourselves with daily reminders, we can keep Stoic principles front and center, helping us navigate the ups and downs with a little more grace and a lot more wisdom. One simple way to start is by reading a Stoic quote or passage every morning. It doesn't have to be a long or complicated text. Sometimes a single line from Marcus Aurelius's Meditations or Epictetus's Enchiridion is enough to set the tone for your day. It's a small ritual that encourages you to pause and consider how you want to approach the hours ahead. Are you going to let external events dictate your mood, or will you decide to maintain your inner calm regardless of what happens? This practice isn't about memorizing the quotes. It's about using them as a touchstone throughout the day. Another great way to incorporate daily Stoic reminders is through journaling, a practice that many Stoics, including Marcus Aurelius, held dear. At the start or end of each day, jot down a few thoughts. Reflect on a Stoic principle, write about a challenging moment and how you handled it, or just note where you felt anxiety creeping in. The act of writing helps to solidify these ideas in your mind, making Stoicism not just something you think about occasionally, but a lens through which you view life. You can also place visual reminders in your environment. A Stoic phrase on your desk, a wallpaper on your phone, or even a daily email subscription that sends you Stoic reflections can serve as gentle nudges to keep the philosophy alive in your day-to-day actions. These reminders act like guideposts, steering you back to a place of calm when you find yourself drifting into worry or distraction. The goal here is to create a routine where Stoic principles are not just ideas that pop into your head every once in a while, but are consistently reinforcing your approach to life. With daily reminders, you build a habit of living stoically, of remembering that your happiness isn't determined by external circumstances, but by how you choose to perceive and respond to them. The more frequently you engage with Stoic ideas, the more naturally they will come to mind when you need them most. Seek therapy and professional help. While the Stoics were all about self-reliance and personal responsibility, they also understood the value of seeking guidance and support when needed. After all, even the most famous Stoic thinkers like Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Epictetus didn't arrive at their wisdom in isolation. They were part of philosophical communities, exchanged letters, learned from teachers, and constantly sought advice. In today's world, therapy can play a similar role in our lives. There's a misconception that Stoicism means handling everything on your own, as if admitting you need help somehow contradicts the philosophy. But the truth is, acknowledging that we can benefit from another perspective is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of wisdom. The Stoics would say that just as we seek out a doctor for a physical ailment, there is no shame in turning to a therapist or counselor when we need help navigating our thoughts and emotions. It's about using all the tools at our disposal to live a good life. Therapy offers a space to practice many Stoic principles, like examining our judgments, questioning automatic responses, and working on cognitive reframing. A good therapist can guide you through the very same process that the Stoics advocated, breaking down your perceptions, challenging irrational beliefs, and focusing on what is within your control. It's like having a personal trainer for the mind, someone who helps you build mental resilience and emotional strength, which are cornerstones of Stoic practice. Moreover, therapy doesn't have to be in opposition to Stoicism. It can complement it. While Stoicism provides a philosophical framework for dealing with anxiety and life's challenges, therapy offers practical techniques and tailored advice that can help you implement these principles more effectively. If you're struggling with persistent anxiety, trauma, or depression, a professional can offer strategies that fit your unique situation, bridging the gap between philosophical ideals and everyday application. Remember, the Stoic way isn't about denying the challenges you face, but about finding ways to overcome them. If that means seeking professional guidance, then you're simply taking another step toward becoming the best version of yourself. There's no contradiction in being both a Stoic and someone who seeks therapy. Rather, it shows a commitment to growth and a willingness to do what it takes to live a better, more peaceful life. The Stoics would surely approve of anything that leads to greater clarity and tranquility. Educate on Stoic principles continuously. Educating yourself on Stoic principles continuously is one of the most important practices if you want to truly live according to the philosophy. The Stoics believed that learning wasn't just a phase of life, but a lifelong pursuit. Marcus Aurelius, despite being the emperor of Rome, consistently sought to deepen his understanding of Stoicism, reading, writing, and reflecting on the teachings day in and day out. It wasn't because he had mastered the philosophy, but because he knew that mastering life's challenges required constant reinforcement of these principles. When it comes to managing anxiety, keeping Stoic ideas fresh in your mind can make a huge difference. It's one thing to read a Stoic text once and think, "I get it," and another to integrate these concepts into your everyday decision-making. This means revisiting the writings of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, and other Stoic thinkers regularly, not just when you're in a crisis. When you make Stoicism a daily habit, it becomes part of your thought process, a mental toolkit you can rely on when life throws you a curveball. There are many ways to keep your Stoic education going, from reading books and essays to listening to podcasts or joining a Stoic community. Each approach brings its own benefits. Reading provides a direct connection to the wisdom of the past, allowing you to see how ancient Stoic ideas are still relevant today. Listening to podcasts or attending talks can expose you to different interpretations of the same Stoic texts, giving you a broader understanding of the philosophy. And engaging with a community of like-minded people provides an opportunity to discuss, question, and deepen your insights, just like the Stoic philosophers did in their own circles. The beauty of this continuous education is that it helps you internalize Stoic principles so they become second nature. The more you engage with the philosophy, the easier it is to remember in the moment when you need it most. It's like building a muscle. Each repetition strengthens your ability to respond with calmness and clarity rather than being swept away by anxiety. The Stoics understood that life would always present new challenges, which is why they emphasized the need for ongoing learning. It's not about reaching a point where you have all the answers, but about being committed to the process of growth. So, make it a priority to educate yourself on Stoic principles consistently. It's not just about adding more knowledge to your mind, it's about deepening your practice and transforming Stoicism from something you know intellectually into something you live naturally. As you continue learning and applying Stoic wisdom, you'll find yourself not just reacting to life's challenges, but actively shaping how you experience them, leading to a more resilient and composed approach to whatever comes your way. Thank you for being a part of Stoic Journal. Your journey toward inner peace and personal growth is just beginning, and we're here to walk it with you. If this video resonated, keep exploring. Click on one of the suggested videos on the screen for more insights that could change the way you think and live. Until next time, stay strong and stay stoic.